Mark, a young man, wakes up to the sound of his neighbors arguing. He gets up, opens his window, and sees a man pounding on the glass across the street. But he doesn't think much of it. As he starts getting ready for work, he quickly realizes something is wrong. The water won't run. The lights are off, and his phone has lost all signal. Still, he tries to stay calm and stick to his routine. He notices he's running late and gets a call from work urging him to come in. There's been a power cut. He heads to the front door, but finds it tightly sealed. Confused, he checks why it won't open and discovers it's been glued shut. Even the windows won't budge. They've been blocked from the outside. Looking across to the neighboring building, he sees other people panicking, waving for help. Men in hazmat suits patrol the area, ignoring the frightened residents. Mark calls out to his neighbor but receives no response he can understand. Desperate, he grabs a hammer and tries to force his way out, but ends up injuring himself. Suddenly, a voice comes through the intercom. A calm woman assures him everything is under control and urges him to remain calm. As he tends to his wounded hand, there's a sudden bang. A section of the wall bursts open, and through it steps Sergei, a fiery teenager, and his younger brother, Nico. Through the hole, Mark enters their apartment and tries opening the door, but of course, it doesn't work. Soon, two more neighbors join, Sally, a nurse, and Aiden, a government worker. They all confirm the same thing. The entire floor has been sealed off from the outside world. Aiden, clearly shaken, believes something more serious is going on, something the authorities aren't telling them. They try every way to contact the outside world, but nothing works. Then, another message comes through the intercom, again promising that medical teams are handling the situation. Sally tends to Mark's injury, stitching the wound while the group tries to collect their thoughts. Amid the silence, Mark suddenly remembers his elderly neighbor, Enid. He urgently asks Sergei to break through the wall into her apartment. They find her asleep, completely undisturbed. Later, the group watches from the window as workers outside set up medical tents and begin leading sick people into them. Another intercom message blames everything on a gas leak, advising everyone to stay inside. But no one is convinced, especially Aiden. Their suspicions grow when they see workers in protective suits spraying chemicals and dragging more sick residents toward the tents. Suddenly, a man tries to run, but he's gunned down by a sniper. Horror spreads through the group as they realize no one is allowed to leave. Moments later, hazmat teams begin raiding apartments. Sergei watches from the window as people who resist are taken by force. Panic sets in. Mark and the others realize their time is running out. Desperate, they huddle together and begin discussing options. That's when Mark remembers he has chemicals in his apartment, something strong enough to dissolve the sealant on the door. With no time to lose, the group begins searching. Once the chemicals are found, Mark mixes them into a potent solution and carefully pours it at the base of the door. To their relief, the sealant begins to soften. Working together, they manage to pry it open. They start planning their escape, but they know armed guards are watching and likely ready to shoot. Just as they begin working through the plan, Enid suddenly panics. Nico is missing. They drop everything and begin searching for the boy. Meanwhile, Nico, scared and alone, crawls through an air vent and ends up on a different floor. Hiding in the shadows, he witnesses a terrifying scene, a woman being coaxed by hazmat workers into cooperating. One of them injects her with something, and moments later, she collapses, coughing violently. Back upstairs, Sergei finally locates Nico and tries to pull him up with a makeshift rope. But just as Nico reaches for it, the workers spot him and drag him away. Mark rushes to alert Sergei, who grabs a baseball bat and charges downstairs with him. What follows is chaos. In the heat of the moment, Sergei attacks one of the hazmat workers, killing him. He forces another worker, a woman, back to their apartment. Sally, Enid, and Aiden go through her belongings and find a canister. Meanwhile, Mark tries to calmly question the woman. Sergei, growing impatient, hauls her in front of the others with a note pinned to her chest. Suddenly, the woman's radio crackles to life. A man on the other end demands confirmation that she's safe. Mark presses for answers, but quickly realizes the man has no idea he's speaking to someone else. Mark attempts to calm Sergei and tries to speak gently with the woman, now identified as Hazel, hoping she'll open up. But when he tries to remove her hazmat suit, Hazel reacts in terror, revealing a disturbing truth. She's not protecting herself from something outside. She's protecting herself from them. Under pressure, Hazel finally opens up. She reveals the truth. The area has been hit by a deadly virus. The government has sealed off the buildings and blocked all communication to prevent mass panic. They're not just hiding the virus, they're hiding everything. But then comes the worst part. Hazel admits there's a chance none of them are infected, but there's an equal chance that they all are. When asked more about the virus, Hazel reveals its horrifying effects. It begins with violent coughing, difficulty breathing, and can even lead to blindness. Eventually, the vital organs shut down. Scientists are trying to develop a cure or vaccine, but so far, nothing has worked. Sergei, already on edge, snaps. In a fit of rage, he rips off Hazel's protective suit. Hazel, panicked, reaches for an injection, but Sergei grabs it first. The room falls into a tense silence as Mark gently removes her helmet, exposing her face. Now vulnerable, Hazel confesses. The vaccine is still experimental. It might not even work. She pleads with the group. Your best chance of survival is to stay inside. That night, the group gathers to talk about their next steps. But Hazel attempts to escape. Overwhelmed by fear and distress, Sergei tackles her and lashes out. Mark tries to stop him, but Sergei shoves him away. In the chaos, Sergei accidentally hits Nico, who bursts into tears. The group is shaken. Moments later, they notice a growing crowd gathering at their building, angry people demanding answers. Word must have spread that they're hiding someone from the government. Hazel, please keep them out. If you let them in, we're all infected. Hazel begs the group to keep the others out, terrified the virus will spread. Suddenly, the intercom buzzes. A man's voice urgently demands to know where the vaccines are. Realizing the situation is spiraling, the group scrambles to barricade the door as the crowd begins to force their way in. During the scuffle, glass shatters, slicing Sally badly. Sergei throws a smoke grenade to push back the crowd and helps carry Sally inside, but her injury is too severe. Despite Hazel's efforts, Sally dies from blood loss. Heartbroken, Aiden quietly disappears into another room. Later, while wrapping Sally's body, they realize Aiden is gone. Unknown to them, he's taken Hazel's hazmat suit and slipped outside, hoping to escape. But as soon as people see him, they mistake him for a medic. They swarm him, begging for help. Chaos breaks out. A sniper fires a warning shot to control the crowd. Seconds later, Aiden is shot dead. Back inside, Sergei sees more people charging toward the building. He urges the group to leave immediately, but Mark refuses. He won't abandon Hazel. As he tries to untie her, Sergei explodes in anger and strikes Mark with a bat, knocking him out cold. When Mark regains consciousness, he rushes to the others. Through the window, he sees a terrifying scene. 2 hazmat workers preparing to release gas into the building. Mark confronts Sergei, furious about the earlier attack. In his rage, he nearly chokes Sergei, but Enid manages to calm him down. But their moment of peace is short-lived. The gas begins filling the building. The group rushes upward, trying to reach the rooftop. On the way, Mark stumbles across Hazel's lifeless body. As they climb, the chaos outside catches up to them. Sergei is grabbed by the crowd. He fights to break free, but he's outnumbered. The others have no choice but to leave him behind. On the rooftop, the remaining 3 finally breathe fresh air. Mark and Enid huddle together, trying to find peace in the cold night. They share smoke, exhausted. By morning, Mark wakes up and gently wakes Nico. Nico tries to rouse Enid, but she has died in her sleep. Mark, seeing Nico's confusion, gently tells him, "Let her sleep a little, she'll catch up later." Now, with only Nico left, Mark looks out at the ruined city. He decides they can't stay, they have to leave. To protect the boy, he tells Nico to shut his eyes and imagine they're playing a game. He slings Nico onto his back and steps into the devastated city, weaving through stairwells filled with corpses. Eventually, they reach the outside, but there is no relief. The world is empty. Even the quarantine camps are silent. A loudspeaker blares overhead. Anyone found outside without authorization will be detained. Anyone found outside will be treated as an infection risk. Knowing they're in danger, Mark puts on a hazmat suit and continues, still carrying Nico. But their moment of hope fades when a man from a nearby building spots them. Mistaking Mark for a government agent, he charges toward them and grabs Nico. The man rants about his lost family, consumed by grief and rage. Then, he raises a shard of glass and aims it at Mark. Mark tries to explain he's not with the government, not a medic, but the man doesn't believe him. In the struggle, Nico breaks free, but Mark is stabbed. Bleeding and weak, he stumbles away, with Nico's help. They finally reach an abandoned park. Mark, pale and barely conscious, lowers himself onto a swing. He gives Nico a phone and a number, telling him, "If you ever get a signal, call this number." Then, he gently tells Nico to go. Nico hesitates, not wanting to leave Mark behind. But Mark insists. Nico walks away. From a distance, he spots men in hazmat suits. As he watches, others suddenly appear behind him and capture him. Moments later, Nico wakes up in a bright, sterile room, surrounded by other children. Hazmat workers move silently around them. One of them leans in and speaks in a soft, calming voice. "Everything is going to be okay." Nico slowly reaches into his pocket and pulls out a photo of Mark with his family. He clutches the phone tightly, the last gift from the man who protected him. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.